Hey, this is Rick with Outdoor Emergencies at hikingemergencybeacon.com, and I want to ask a simple question today, and that is, why do I need a satellite communicator? Or why do you need a satellite communicator? Why does anybody need one? And I've got some ideas for you and some thoughts, and I want to share those with you. And I've done this a few times, but I want to come back and, if I can, drive this home. Why do I personally need a satellite communicator? Before I get into all that, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted as soon as I put out new videos. All right, the simple facts are that most people are going to have something happen to them along in their life journey. If you go hiking very much, or you're kayaking, you could be mountain climbing, whatever it is, the more you're out, the more you're going to come across something that maybe is a threat to you or is a threat to other people around you. And I'm 57, I hate to admit it, but I am that old. I've been hiking and doing stuff from kayaking rivers and just camping, fishing. There's a lot of things. I mean, I've been rafting too, but I don't do extreme sports. But I have experienced some things in my life and people around me when I've been outdoors where I really wish I would have had a satellite communicator. And I want to go through some of those with you of just personally my experience, because it will happen. I mean, nobody's perfect. And when you're young, you think it's never going to happen to you. When you're older, you start to wise up a little bit and you just know better by experience. But, why? So let me just talk about why people in general, different age groups, need a satellite communicator. Let's start with older people, and I'm getting up there. I used to think when my dad was 33 that he was old. Now I'm going, well, 33, you're still a young buck. But when you get older, you have more health issues. You're more likely to maybe get altitude sickness. You might be more prone to a stroke or a heart attack. You're just not, in general, not as in good shape the older you get, and things are just more challenging. So you need to be careful, and you need to be able to communicate with people. I had a situation where I was high up around 12,000 feet all by myself. In the middle of the afternoon, storm started kicking up, and I was getting altitude sickness. So I had to keep moving, but I had to pace myself, and I had to keep going. And the nauseousness was setting in, and I knew I was getting in trouble, but I didn't want to be around that area where there was no trees high up with a thunderstorm here in Colorado. So, that's just one example of where, it'd been nice to have a satellite communicator on me. But when you're, say, mid-age, I say mid-age, 30 to 40s, and you're in good shape, well, you still need a satellite communicator, and there's all kinds of reason for it, because Jerry, and he's got a channel, I'm going to put it up here, I don't even always remember it, but it's like about him and his wife after children. That'll be on the screen, you can see it. And we've been talking this week, and he's started, creating videos, a lot of outdoor stuff here in Colorado about 5 months ago, so he's pretty new. But he was telling me this week that somebody here in Colorado, they were high up, they were by themselves, they did not have a satellite communicator, they then slipped, and they were in ice. There's patches of ice up here at those high altitudes. They fell into another patch of snow farther down, and they did not survive. Now, not everybody, and not every time that you have a satellite communicator does it mean you're going to survive. But if you don't survive, then your friends and family will be able to find you and be able to give you a proper burial. They'll know what's happened to you. So this is not just, hey, if I have a satellite communicator, I'm going to survive and I'll make it. Sometimes people don't. But it does improve your odds of making it. But say you're a young person, you're in your teens and your 20s, and nothing's going to happen to you. I'm never going to die and I'm never going to get hurt. Okay, I'm just telling you, that mentality will get you in trouble someday. And it's better to take precautions. And you can still be gung-ho and go out and do stuff, but you should be able to communicate with your buddies at least, okay? If you don't want to communicate with your family, okay, fine. But you need to be able to communicate. And there's all kinds of reasons. I'm going to run through some of those right now. But it doesn't matter what age group you're in. If you're older and you're wiser, well, you're not as capable of doing things. So you're smarter in a way from, wisdom-wise, and you know that things do happen, but you can't do as much. You're younger, you can do more, but then you're like, it'll never happen to me. So, let's just end this part of this and say it does happen to people. So if it never happens to you, if you have a satellite communicator, you will be able to contact somebody on behalf of the other people that it did happen to, okay? And maybe I'm the one person it happened to. I carry a satellite communicator, but right here. But maybe you can contact somebody for me, right? Now, let me just go through a few examples of what's happened in my life to give you just reasons why, to understand, you're going out camping, you're going out hiking, nothing's going to happen, you're in a group. So let's start with the group situation. Up here in Colorado, at least, and in other places I've been to, in Arkansas and elsewhere, in Oregon and Washington, a lot of times, many times that group splits up. So it's just good to be able to communicate with other people and say, okay, there was a fork in the trail. They went one way. They thought you knew where to go. You didn't. They got lost or you got lost. And now you can't communicate. You don't know where they're at. Maybe it's getting late. The weather's getting bad. You're trying to set up for camp for the night and you're not in the same spot. Maybe somebody found a great waterfall or something great place to eat or camp or something, and they want to communicate with you. It's just nice to be able to communicate. I used to think that if I was able to communicate two-way, my family and friends would bug me. And the last thing I want when I'm out on an adventure, I don't want people bothering me. But that's not been the case, because a lot of times the tracking and the messaging will cost you money depending on your subscription plan. So if you just tell everybody ahead of time, listen, it better be an emergency and it better be very important if you're going to contact me, they'll leave you alone. At least my family and friends do. But there's other reasons to communicate too. An example, we were out on the segment 1 of the Colorado Trail. My nephew, my son, my daughter and I were together. We got separated. They were on the back side of the Colorado Trail of segment 1. We were on the front side. We had to turn back because my daughter and I were having some trouble. So we were smart enough to go, okay, hey, it's easier to go back. We were downhill going back. So we headed back. Well, my son got into some difficulties and it was getting late in the day. Anyway, I won't go into all the details, but we were able to communicate with him, and we were about to call SOS and to get a rescue team up there. But because we were able to communicate, we were able to get around to him, find him, and I was able to get back up there between my nephew and myself. We were able to get him off the mountain. And so that was a situation where, because of the two-way messaging, we were able to communicate and not get search and rescue teams out there. If we needed to, we had that ability. But that was one recent example. There were some other examples when we were in Arkansas, northwest Arkansas. We were up by Harrison, I think it was, and there's the upper and lower Buffalo River. And you have to hike. You start up high and you hike down to the river. It's backwards. So the harder hike is on the way out. But we're down at the river and we didn't know anything about it, but twice there was two different things that happened. On one trip, we almost ran right over the top of a big rattlesnake. Could have been in a lot of trouble. We were fairly close to being to the trailhead, so we would have been able to get out fairly quick. But the second time, we were down at the river. We were hours. Somebody could have hauled out, ran fast and got out, and maybe been out in an hour. They would have had to get help. There would have been at least an hour for them to get back or help to get back. So there was at least 3-4 hours, and there were water moccasins. And my son and my nephews, they were playing in the river, and they turned over a rock, and a water moccasin was right there. And there's just so many examples of us being out having fun, no big deals and everything, and nothing's going to happen. But I tell you what, on that trip, we were talking about, there's no cell service. What are we going to do? So if something happened, who would, the person that was in the best shape that wasn't hurt would, run to get out to go get help. But I'm telling you, if you get bit by a water moccasin or something bad happens, it's much better to be able to message two-way, get help, or hit the SOS and get search and rescue teams there faster. And if they know that you're in a bad place or hard place to get to, maybe they can send a helicopter crew out. There's all kinds of things that can happen. When you can communicate and you can tell the rescue teams what the situation is, they'll send this right team out. Maybe they need more people. Maybe they do need a helicopter. So that the messaging, the two-way messaging and that SOS, I'm telling you, is so important. Because again, when I've been young, when I've been in the middle part of my life, and now I'm starting to get older, I've seen too much. And everybody always says, oh yeah, well, it costs $100. Because you can get a satellite communicator for $100, even a one-way satellite communicator, and there's a couple that you can get for about $150 that are two-way. And I'm going to have a list on the screen right here, and you'll be able to see all of them that I have and are the main ones that are out there. And there's a new one that's come out, but I'm not sure I really like it that much. I'm not going to mention it right now. But it only covers North America. Actually, it only covers the U.S. at the moment. But I'm going to, you're seeing the list right now of all of these, and I'm going to have the prices associated with them right next to them. So you can see, and some of them are expensive. Some of them can run $500, $600, $700. Others can run you $100 to, say $200. And there's a subscription. But I'm telling you, I was just thinking about this when I was driving home tonight, and I was thinking, how can I get across to people how important this is? After you have your backpack that you need to take with you, and your water, and your first aid kit, your satellite communicator should be one of the top 5 things that you put on your pack or always have on your pack. I'm telling you right now, this one here, and sometimes I'll switch them out, but this 67i, it never leaves my pack. It just stays on my pack. Now I have to make sure it's charged and it's ready to go. But I am always ready. When I put my pack on, this is on. So when I get ready to go, the first thing I'm checking is, do I have my first aid kit? Do I have water? Do I have my satellite communicator? Do I have sunscreen, bug spray, depending on that? So when I'm going through that list, this is number 1 or 2. This is right up there, okay? So, I'm just saying, it will happen someday, all right? And it may not be to you, but something's going to happen to somebody, or something's going to happen you're going to be in a situation where you're going to need help or need to help somebody else. I'm just telling you, after 57 years, unless you're an angel and you just are protected and nothing ever happens to you, okay, great, keep living that way. Just really want to drive this home. Get a satellite communicator. Keep it cheap. Get something simple. Make sure, maybe it's only a one-way satellite communicator. Get something. I know you're getting irritated with me. You're like, shut up, I got it. Okay. But I just see so many people going out and they don't get it. Or they don't believe that they need it. And I've talked to search and rescue teams, firemen. I've talked to, my daughter was on a search and rescue team. And every single time I'm out there and they see me with this, they're always going, thank goodness you have that. You make our life so much easier to be able to find you and help you. And when my daughter was on the search and rescue team in Gunnison, Colorado, one of the primary things they were doing is going out and finding lost hunters. Now, and I'm just saying that sometimes it's not hunters, it could be other times of the year, but when those hunters came out, they're not used to Colorado. A lot of people are not from here, and they're up in the mountains and they're tracking something, and all of a sudden, it's starting to get dark, they're lost, they can't figure out where they're at, and now they're in trouble. If you have the satellite communicator, one, you can either track back or find out how to get out, and you can find your way back, well, then you're not going to be probably get in trouble. But if you don't know where you're at, and it gets dark and you're disoriented, you don't know what's north, south, east, or west, and now it's getting cold, and if you're hunting in late, September, October, November, I'm telling you, it gets cold up there. You could find yourself in a world of hurt. And if you didn't bring an emergency blanket, maybe a way to light a fire, maybe something to make paracord to strap things together, pieces of wood to create a little, emergency shelter and be able to stay warm for the night, you could end up in a lot of trouble. So I don't mean to be so intense about this, but it is so serious. Really, if you're going to head into the mountains, especially high altitude, and you're coming to someplace like Colorado, be prepared. And being prepared means letting people know where you're at, letting them track and see where you're at on maps, and having one of these on your pack. Sorry for being so intense in this video, but I really want you to be prepared. This is not about me making money. It's not about me selling something. I'm not selling anything. I'm just telling you, get it. It's important, because it might save your life or somebody else's life, and you're going to appreciate it someday. Well, thanks for hanging with me, sticking through this intense conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have any comments, thoughts, you disagree, whatever, understood, I'll take it. I just love communicating with you guys and having these conversations, because I just continue to learn myself and find other new ways to use these things and be safer in the mountains. And sometimes it's not just about these satellite communicators. Sometimes people are like, hey, have you tried this? Have you gone here? Have you done that? It's just fun to be able to talk with you, and I learn a lot as we engage. So again, thanks for joining me. Please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted as soon as I put out new videos. And if you'd like to support Hiking Emergency Beacon, there's a link in the description below. Thanks again for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Maybe it won't be quite so intense.